Record permission now.
Cool, recording it. Awesome.
So how's things?
Honestly, today was a very, very rough day. I had a weird feeling this morning, and I went to work. I just felt off, and I didn't listen to my gut. I ended up trading. I took a max loss, and
Oh,
I it was probably the worst trading I've done in a while, and I thought that it was the fact that I was like I feel like I'm kind of spread all over the place. That I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go in life, and I just kind of I felt like I should have just not traded today, and you know worked through all that stuff. And then some my boss and I are very close. Like he's kind of been almost like an older brother to me. And
right.
me and him got into it pretty bad today, and he told me to go home. And so here I am at my house. And so I think he's telling me to start looking into possibly getting another job, because he's sick of me trading at work, and all that kind of stuff. But I I don't know what the real issue is, because I've been doing this for a year probably, and
Yeah.
the main boss that owns work. He's the one that told me that it was completely okay, and everybody else is okay with me trading at work, and still do my job. Everything gets out, everything's taken care of, and I don't know if he just was tired and didn't sleep good last night, or if things are going on at his house, or what. But I'm okay with us disagreeing, and you know but just don't get my face. We can disagree and we can talk about it, but the second somebody gets in my face, it's the talking's over. It's like, all right, we're gonna fight. And he got in my face, and part of me wanted to hit him, and the other part of me was like, well, that's stupid. That's your boss. Don't do that. And it's like, why? But then it made me question things. It's just why did he get in my face? That's not very boss like. Why? It was a very strange
Has it happened before?
situation. And
Has
it
it happened? Has it
uh,
happened before?
no, that's never happened before. He's never even got mad at me before. I've worked there for 11 years.
Right.
And he's never we used to always joke about it, because he's known for having a hot temper with everybody else. But
Yeah.
he's never gotten mad at me ever. They're everyone used to always get kind of mad about it. How come he's so nice to you and blah blah blah. Well, today was the day that he lost his cool, and well, it was so strange, because earlier today, he came back, and he was just BSing with me while I was back there watching pre-market and stuff, and he was asking about Dogecoin and all this kind of stuff, and was asking me just completely cool, nonchalant, and then my little brother works with me, and
Yeah.
me and him have been having issues, and we finally. I told my boss, I was like, hey, it's he wants me to be a part-time boss. He wants me to be the boss when it's it works for him, but then then on other things, it's he wants me to bow down to him and stuff. And I told him, I was I'm okay with being the boss and taking care of everything, but the one thing I'm not okay with is if you have problems with my brother, talk to my brother and have like you guys hash that out. Like, quit dragging me into your guys' issues because it's starting to affect our relationship, and it causes stress on me and my brother's relationship. Because the funny thing about like when you were talking to me the first session, my brother's my exact opposite, and you were saying that like we can balance each other out, or it can be not the best situation.
Yeah.
Me and my
Yeah.
brother
You get.
we weren't seeing eye to eye because like I thought he was lazy. I thought he was just different, and we didn't see eye to eye. And I like so I told my boss, I was like, it's funny, like you want me to be a boss with everything, or like you want to be the boss of everything except for my brother. Like the one area that is like difficult for me, like it's like you're demanding me. Like my brother was late to work today, and my boss came back and like he just started poking, like trying to get under my skin. And it was just like, oh, your driver's gonna be late, 20 minutes late. And I was just like, yeah, I know that, like, that's it's between you guys, like you're the boss. You talk to him. Like if you're mad with your employee, tell your employee that you're not happy with what he's bringing to the table. And he's like, well, he's your employee. I was like, no, no, no. Like, he's my employee. Like, now that you don't want to deal with it, I was like, but you're the boss, man. Like, you want to be the boss, then be the boss. Like, if you want me to be the boss, I'll be the boss. But then
Is
you
it
you need you need to, huh?
okay? Okay. Is he a manager or is he
He
the owner?
he's a manager, but like he started training me to take his place. And so like I have when he's not there like half the time, I am the boss. And I run everything and it runs smooth, and like I understand how everybody else operates. Like I can't stress out the warehouse worker. He's not good under stress. So
Right.
you have to like learn how to deal with him. I know how to deal with my brother. Everything runs smoothly until my boss gets there, and then he comes in and he's crazy. He works nights at UPS, goes home, takes like a 2 to 3 hour long nap, and comes into work. And like you can always tell just by looking at him in the morning, like how it's gonna go. And like I walked in today and I was like, shh, like why is he here already? I was like, this isn't gonna be a good day. And then then he just started getting on me about my brother and stuff. And I was just like, hey man, like I'm doing my job. I'm making sure that like the orders are out and everything. Like I told you that I don't want to be in the position to start barking around orders at my little brother because he doesn't understand me. I don't understand him, and I'm sick of fighting with family. And I was like, I want you to respect that. And he just started going off on all this stuff. And then he came and asked me like nonchalant about my trading. I was just like, I hit a max loss. I was like, I was just trading stupid. I broke pretty much every rule that I had. I was like, I just felt off. I was like, I don't know what the deal is. And like, I was talking to him as a friend. And then he brought up this meeting, and I was just like, yeah, I told Sean that I was gonna have to leave a little bit early, and everybody at work knew that I was gonna leave and have this meeting, and they were completely cool with it. And he was just like, he's making a big deal out of it. I was like, I'm clocking out. I'm going home early. Like the boss's son or the owner's son, he was cool with it, and everybody's cool with it. I was like, why is it such a big deal to you that I'm gonna go do this? And then he just starts talking about like complaining about me trading at work, and then my brother, and then this, and then this, and then it's just like a snowball effect. I was just like, where is all this coming from, man? Like
What's he like? Is he normally a calm person? Is he a stressed person? Or
to me, he's always been super cool and calm and collect, and just like he helps me out a lot. Like whenever
yeah,
I get like a hot temper, he's always been the one to like help me out with certain things and like give me advice and all that kind of stuff. And then, man, I don't know what the hell happened today. And he just like he started being a dick about things, and I was just like he said, he's like, you know what, dude, just go home. I was just like why? I'm doing my job. I'm like everything's fine. And like he said something, and then I was like, all right, well, fuck off then. And I started walking off, and then he got in my face like we were gonna fight, and I was like what the hell is going on right now? Why are you in my face like that? And like to me, the only reason you get in somebody's face like that is like you're trying to get me to back down, but like I'm not gonna back down. Like I didn't. I would never get in your face like that, and it's just kind of like it just threw me for a loop, and so I was just like, I feel like he's expecting me to come in tomorrow and like beg for my job and stuff, and so I came home and I've been looking up different ideas for uh, different jobs because I was talking to one of my friends and she was like, the place is toxic. Like you have good trading times. Like you'll do good in trading, but then it's like it just it goes wild and stuff. And like I was talking to her, and it made me kind of realize that I was doing what like drives me nuts about a lot of other people is like they settle, and like I got comfortable with my place and I'm able to work there and trade, but it's not ideal at all. And it's like,
Yeah.
and she's like, you're not happy, so why are you there? And it's just like, I don't know, maybe like the second I started looking up different jobs and stuff, like it makes me nervous because it's something new, but at the same time, like in a very strange way, I feel calm. Like I don't know how I'm going to make things work, but it's like I don't know. I feel like this is just like I don't know. Maybe it's been boiling up in him for a while now. I don't know because like they'll get mad, and it's like at first when I was doing really bad in trading, like he was there and he comforted me. But then when I start
Yeah.
like on the last 2 weeks, I've been doing well. Like I've been making more money in the stock market than I do at my job. And it's like once like that I started like I'm by no means am I able to like trade full time or anything like that. Like I found like a couple weeks of like clarity and I felt
Right.
good, and like it just completely different now. And now it's like now all of a sudden he's got a huge problem with me trading and doing this and doing that, and it's like,
Do you tell him that you're making money?
well, yeah, well, he comes back there and like he's at my desk, and I mean it's not like I can tell my boss to piss off, like, well, I mean I guess
Yeah.
I technically did today, but that obviously didn't go over very well. So yeah, I feel like it
Do you think, just speaking off the top of my head here, that there's some sort of jealousy now you're making money? And like he says, you can see
I
you're making more money than he's earning maybe, or
yeah,
because that
I
happens
think
to a lot of
so.
people.
Because my boss was talking, the owner of the business was talking about how like I haven't had a pay raise in like 4 years,
Right.
and I've always been like, well, if I'm not going to make more money here, then I'm going to figure out other incomes. So I started up a small business. I put these machines in uh, in a laundromat and in a bingo hall, and it makes me money every week. And so I started doing that. Then I started trading a little bit, and then I'm always looking for if I don't want other people to like I don't want to feel like I need other people to make my life better. Like
Yeah.
if I want something, I go and get it, or
Yeah.
I figure out a way to do it. And so like he was always talking to me about like you're never going to get a pay raise, you're never going to get a pay raise, but what you get here is you get freedom, and that means more to people like us. than anything. And I was just like, that's what I told him today. They got me pissed off. I was like, you're always talking about this freedom, and I start taking this freedom, and now you're getting pissed off that I'm using my time wiser than you are, and now you're getting pissed at me because I'm making decisions to try and better my life. I was just like, I don't understand it, man. I was like, because whenever we have an issue or like I have a problem with you and I think you do something wrong, I tell you. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
hold that shit in. I was like, if I have a problem with you, you know it. I tell you straight up. And you might not know, like, you might not like what I have to say, but it's out there. Then we work through it. I was like, but how the hell am I supposed to work through all this stuff if like I was like, you're talking about stuff that I've been doing for like 8 months, man. Like, well, that's just been like brewing inside of you. Now you're gonna let the atomic bomb go off, and I'm supposed to just bow down to you. I was like, no, dude. Like, I'm doing the same shit that I've been doing that was okay 8 months ago because we had a conversation. I was like, we were having a conversation as adults 5 minutes ago, and then you got my face, and then it's like, all right, well, time for conversations out the window. I was like, now I'm thinking about how I'm gonna kick your ass after you try to punch me in the face. I was like, that's I should never have those thoughts coming into my head with somebody that's so important to me like you. I was like, but you crossed a line. Like, why would you put me in a situation like that? And that makes me very. I already don't trust very many people, but now like somebody that I thought was like always there for me, it's like you're trying to fight me. I was like, that's very
He was
strange.
sounds like he was goading you, like he almost wanted you to.
Yeah, like he was
The
pushing my
way you're
buttons to
describing
see.
it, yeah.
He's waiting for me to go to step over the line because I'm not even gonna lie. Like 6 months ago, I would have hit him probably like 100%. Like because he knows he's been my friend long enough that like I've had people do that, and like I remember me and him having a few conversations. I actually just had a conversation with my friend a little while ago, and I was like, it always confused me because it's like if you get up in some other guy's face, you're looking for a fight. So like, why does it confuse people when I hit them when I'm put in a situation like that? It's like they think that like we're just like whenever I've been in a situation like that, somebody would get in my face, and it's like they expect me to just cower down, but like I always did the exact opposite. I always just hit them.
What about, just to play devil's advocate here, would there have been any side of it that you were culpable? I mean,
I
you were
think
having a
that
bad
when I
day.
think that when I told him to fuck off, I think that like that was me. I shouldn't have said that. I should have remained calm no matter what. But like that that was definitely me. I shouldn't have said that. But like that's the only thing that I can think of that. Because I
I
mean,
mean, you have,
I was completely calm. I was just like, I was like, so what you're telling me is I should look for another job. And
but
he's like, yeah, I think you should look for another job. I was like, all right, man, that's fine. And
I presume at this point, though, you were having a bad day trading wise.
yeah, but like that's the weird thing about it though. Like I was trying to figure out my head because like I thought that I'd be a lot more devastated from my trading than I was. And like I was upset with it, but like the reason I was upset with it was because I didn't listen to my gut. Like I knew something was off.
Yeah.
And I still feel like something's off. Like I remember like waking up this morning, I was just like, I don't know, this isn't like I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And I remember like going to work and I mean there was nothing really in the market anyways. I remember like looking at it, I was just like, man, I don't feel very good. Like I don't think I slept very good last night, and I just got too much stuff on my mind. I'm trying to figure out
Was it with
what.
this issue of your boss? Would it have been starting to fester last week at all? I mean, you're feeling it. Often we feel things before we think them or are aware of them. Has there been any change in his attitude towards you?
Not that I can think of.
Oh,
Like,
okay, just again, just playing devil's advocate there. I mean, the only thing I was wondering was whether you're having a bad day in the markets. You know, and I mean, I was talking with last week with a 30-year veteran of the markets on a call who's just lost his job, um, and he was in a very senior role at a large one of the big banks. And he said, Steve, he said, he said, we were talking about the craziness of the job. Because in a bank, it's not just trading to try and make money. You've also got to deal with client orders, and you've got to deal with brokers, and you've got to deal with salespeople who are dealing with clients. And in trading rooms, you get these face-to-face arguments all the time.
yeah,
Literally, you stand up and you said, where else? Is there another job in the world where you stand up and you literally have a face-to-face with someone? I mean, you're obviously not allowed to lift a hand because the moment you're out of work. So you've got to be, but the emotions in these places are like mad places. And of course, when you lose some money or when an order doesn't go well or an order gets missed, even the calmest people I've seen completely lose it.
I have lost it at work a few times. Like where like I've been in a trade and like I get rushed or like there's way too many things going on, and I'm just like one thing I'm starting to realize is that like I'm not very good at like I feel like I feel like I'm good at multitasking, but I'm not. I'm not good at multitasking. Like I'm good at like having like laser focus on something and then like finishing it. But like if I have like seven things going on at one time, I'm like I want to focus on one thing, and I can't give each thing the uh same attention that like I think I need to. And like so like sometimes the phones will go off or I'll be in the middle of a trade and they'll like, yell at me because there's a customer at the desk and they need somebody to work with them or like something in the back goes wrong or something. And some of those trades like that, that's when I start doing stupid stuff because then it's like, well, I could put like a range order in, or if I do put a range order in, it's like worst case scenario, and then I come back and my order got hit on the wrong way, and I'm like, if I was here, like maybe I would have cut it off sooner. Like you start messing with like the mindset of it, and it's just like I don't know, it's just
I'll take you through your personality test.
huh? Yeah,
I'm taking you,
kind of like where you're like it was that I'm an excitable and
yeah,
like I'm and you kind of touched base a little bit on my personality, and then we kind of talked a little bit about the opposites, and that's when I was kind of like, holy crap, that's my little brother. And then but you kind of asked me a little bit about like my background, my story, and I kind
yeah,
of touched base on that a little bit, but and then you kind of told me about traders that are kind of like me,
yeah.
and
But
they
I do try and dwell on these things for a reason. I do try and repeat them
uh-huh.
because I like people to know who they are and what they are and how they are.
Well, I
Because
think that that's very useful to me.
we don't see ourselves. I even wrote a tweet about this earlier. We don't see ourselves. When I was on a trading desk, okay, and someone was under pressure or having a bad time, okay, or struggling, okay, we could all see that that trader was struggling,
Yeah,
and we all knew, only in our minds, we didn't tell each other, but we all knew that whatever position he was in, he wasn't going to make money on unless he exited it and walked away and then came back with a clear head because he just wasn't seeing it right. It's an
yeah,
incredible thing. But other people can see it in you, but it's really hard to see it in yourself. So when I was struggling, I could not see what was clear to everyone around me. Okay. And just occasionally, I had a boss who might have come over and just went, Steve, you're like really wound up today or recently. You've been kicking the desk a lot. Everything all right? That was all they'd say. And I'm like, yeah, fuck off. You know? Do you know what I mean? But I knew that he was trying to say, he was trying to be helpful without trying to put it in my face. Okay? But he was pointing out that this has been going on for 2 or 3 weeks now. And until you step away and reset and refresh, you're just going to be you're just not going to see the market clearly. So he was kind of subtly saying that as a friend, and I did the same with him because this particular individual, he was he was someone who was either when he was up, and when he was down. Right?
Yeah.
He was a biker. Rode a motorbike to work. He'd do wheelies outside the main road, and he'd have Slipknot playing on the speakers,
Yeah.
right? All that. When everything was going wrong, there was no music, there was no laughter from him, there was no joking. Do you know what I mean?
I
And
do know what you mean because I feel like I'm similar to that. Like when things are going good, they're going really good. When
yeah,
things are going bad, it's like fuck. like it's like everything just I don't know turns. But I don't know. But that's the weird thing though because I feel like everything has been going good,
yeah,
and but then I woke up today and it just like so like last night I was kind of thinking about certain things like I had a dinner with a friend of mine and we're kind of talking about life and I was just like yeah like we kind of touched on this in the first thing I was like I feel like I'm coming up to like a fork in the road and when I look at that like I can see myself being happy in all those areas of life. But it's like the hardest thing is for me is like figuring out which one would really make me happier. Like am I doing it for me or am I doing it for other people? Or like that's the hardest thing for me to like figure out. And so like I have a few different like options and like one of the things I started thinking about was am I really done fighting? Because I paid for this tournament like a year and a half ago,
yeah,
and it got postponed last year, and they're going to do it again in the middle of June. So I was kind of just like, do I just get in like killer shape and give myself the run that I feel like I I deserved, or is it really done? And like I've been kind of going back and forth on that because it's like I think that the reason that like maybe things got so out of control today is because I've been thinking that I was going to leave Kentucky when my lease is up next June, but I can't remember who the hell said something to me, but like somebody I was talking to was like, "Man, you got a great life here. Like just because you're you're done fighting doesn't mean that you got to leave." And they're like, "You got a job that you can trade at work. I deliver building materials. I can get shingles, siding, gutters, pretty much anything I want for a house at at their price. And it's like, man, maybe if I start doing good with trading, I don't need any of the money. Like it's just like I can live off of not trading, and then use that money to kind of like invest in other things. Like maybe I buy a couple of properties and I use my connections here to get nice shingles, like siding, like make it nice. And
right,
I started thinking about all this stuff. I was like, dang, like I I'm there's the other options I could go down. It's like I could go out towards closer to family out in Idaho, but like I don't have any friends or like anything out there. Like I would literally be starting all over. But then the other place I was thinking about going, like same exact situation. I'd be starting all over. And it's like, well, or I could stay here. And then it's like, well, if I do stay here and I'm going to start working on that stuff, I was like, I wonder if I would be able to manage the stress that comes along with getting ready for a fight, along with trading. And so I was going to start running and get back in shape and all the stuff. And then I don't know, like today, like when we started, we got in a huge fight, and I do feel like I'm getting to the point where it's like, well, I do need to find something else to go do because clearly things are not good at this place, and like I'm still a long ways away from where I want to be in trading, but like I have to keep going. Like it's what I'm passionate about, and it makes me happy. Like sometimes I want to bang my head against the wall, but it's like I don't know. It gives me that excitement, that rush, and that like I have to learn about myself, and I love it. And
I'll stop you there a sec.
huh,
Okay. I I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to think. I'm a long way from where I want to be in trading. And it's a really interesting comment that because I think I tell everyone that even if you've been trading for 5 years, you're still probably a long way from where you want to be. I often call trading. I think one of the best comparisons is boxing.
that's
It's like a lot of people come to me and they're like, "Damn, I've been doing this 6 months and I'm no good. I'm not making money yet." And I'm like, "Okay, so if you were a boxer, would you say that I'm not fighting at Madison Square Gardens yet after 6 months?" It's it, it's like
I've had a lot of people tell me that kind of stuff, like with
yeah,
trading.
but it's a performance activity.
Yeah,
It's like another example would be the guitar. I'm not playing any live gigs yet after 6 months. Screw it. It's a performance activity. 5 years would be good enough to start standing on your own feet. What often messes people heads up are these people who tell them how much money they're making in their first year. 90% of the time, that's bullshit. Okay, it's people
yeah.
playing that up. The other 10% or 9.9% are people who haven't yet, that they've started trading a system and they've just tapped into a rich seam. And what happens is at some point that seam gets turned off.
I actually heard that in a podcast, one of your
With J
podcasts I
Trader,
listened,
that was the
and
one with J Trader.
well, there was another one. Is like one of your beginner ones where he was like saying that like no edge ever lasts, and you might find
Oh yeah,
something that like that's working, but then it's just gone. You gotta rethink it, and it's like
that was Ryan Paisley. Yeah,
yeah,
but there
but
was another one with Adam Nash when we first started about 2 years ago. Adam's a brilliant trader, and it took him many years to really get going. But I remember him saying to me, he backs traders, or he used to back them, and he sees them come in, and he sees some of these young guys. They start trading a system, and it starts working, and for 6 months, a year, maybe longer, they're doing really well, and they're up on it, and suddenly the system stops working, and they go, it's like I don't know what to do, and it suddenly comes crashing in because they've got no skills, they've got no ability, they haven't
yeah,
developed, they've just been lucky until that point. It's like you know beginner's luck, but
yeah,
it takes many years to start becoming good at this. It takes many years to start. One of the most successful traders I've ever worked with, who is actually featured in the book Unknown Market Wizards, was a guy I coached, a phenomenal trader. And I said to him, I said, look, you know, How many years was it before you felt you could walk in and you knew with a high degree of certainty that you were going to make money that year? You know, you could never know for sure, but you felt pretty.
5 or 6.
Yeah, 6 years, he said. Someone else who's a very good trader, I asked the same question. He said 5 years. You know,
I started
it,
listening to that, and that's why I was kind of like, well, maybe I do stay here until I get to that point. Like, I
well,
don't have a
this,
family. I don't have anything. It's like, I have a good community here. If I go anywhere else, like, I'm going to be starting all over. I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job. I don't like,
well, this is what I say to people. I say the best thing you can have as a beginning trader is what you need another income. So the two traders I just mentioned, one was at a prop firm, but he was a young guy, lived at home. All he needed was his fare backwards and forwards to work, okay, to get through the week. You know, and he
yeah,
had a small draw coming from the company if he was making a bit. Um, and the other one had a very wealthy father. Um, so, you know, between the two of them, they got something. You know, I got other guys who work in other parts of the world. They might have a job 1 day a week or 2 days a week, or and you know they've earned a lot of money in their first few years working in another job, and they could do a bit of consultancy on the side. So because you need, I say to anyone, do not plan on making a living from trading for at least 5 years. You know, if you decide to leave your job, have at least 2 years minimum set aside to be able to live on, right? Because you don't want to be relying on a trading income. You want to be doing, you want to be learning. You know, I always say learn. Don't worry about earning. Just learn. Learn before you earn. If you need to make money from trading to live and eat, you won't. It's that simple. It'll screw you up. It'll cause you to go off. Uh,
so like that I kind of, I'm starting to listen to that, and so like it made me kind of be like, well, I don't want to just leave here and then go have
yeah,
to find another job somewhere else. Like I make, I can do private lessons at the gym. I teach at the gym. I have a small business here. Then I have a full time job here. And I was like, I'm kind of set. Like really, like I mean, I make really good money without the stock market. If I make money in the market, awesome. Then like, you know, put that into something. If I don't, then I just keep doing what I'm doing until I find that consistency to where I'm building up my account and stuff. And like so like that was like one of the things I started to like thinking about yesterday. Well, not really yesterday. Like for like the last few weeks, I've been kind of thinking on it. But like I started being like, man, maybe this really is like the path for me. And I started thinking that last night, and because my mom's like praying that I come out towards Idaho. She wants me back out closer to home, and I'm just uh, like I could see myself doing that. And I think it'd be fun, but it's like, man, I don't want to go work doing whatever like to make ends meet. And I'm not gonna be ready by next June to be making enough money in the stock market to pay for things. And I was like, so what am I going to do? I'm going to move out there and live with my mom and end up shooting myself after 2 months. like, I mean, I love my mom. She's a great woman, but it's like, I'm going to be 32 this year. I don't want to be living with my mom, It's like,
no, you need to break away.
and so it's like, well, that's not an option. So I'm like, and then any other path, no matter where I went, it's like, well, shit, like how am I gonna make ends meet? But then like today, I was sitting here, I was just like, I don't know. That's when, I was talking to my friend and she was talking about her sister delivered like Uber Eats or Lyft or something like that. Like, and I'm like, no matter what I have to do, like I know I'll like I'll make ends meet, but it's like I want to do it in a way that like I don't cause the least amount of stress in my life. But it also made me kind of be like, well, clearly adding fighting to my life is like a no go. So at least I was able to like get that off the table. So now it's just kind of like trying to figure out the rest of everything. I like to have like I don't need to have a concrete plan, but like I need to have like at least a decent idea of where to focus my energy on.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? And
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I'm asking this in a minute. Do you feel you have a purpose
In life?
in life, or a sense of purpose, or not about purpose?
Yeah.
you're not here put on for this reason, but I mean, do you have a sense of purpose, even if you don't feel you have a purpose? I mean, I ask this question instead of asking to people, what are your goals? I like to say, what's your purpose? Because a lot of people say, I want to make money. I want to make a lot of money. Okay, yeah, but what's your purpose? Why do you want to make a lot of money?
Honestly, I feel like my purpose is just to live a good life and be an example of like that you don't have to follow the norm that like you just I like of course I want to make money and all that kind of stuff, but I want to be happy. I want to I want to do what makes me happy and really live life. I don't want to just like survive. It's like I feel like most people are just like, man, all right, so how do I make ends meet until I die? So they're like, at least when I die, like I made it. It's like, dude, but you missed out on the other, hopefully quite a few years of your life. Like I want to get to where my purpose is to have one hell of a damn good life and enjoy it. Like that's what I want. I just want to be happy, and I want to show other people that it's achievable to do that. Like you don't have to just settle. And I don't know if that's the right answer to your question or not, but
There isn't a right answer.
oh, that's just what I felt, and so I was like, well, hopefully this answers the question. So
No, that's good. That's good. There's a few things I took from that. I would say the thing I underlined, you know, were two things which are both two sides of the same coin. I don't want to just survive. I mean, that's great. That's powerful. And then you say, I want to have one hell of a good life, which is the other side of that, you know? And I think that single statement, which they are, you've done it so far. You told me about your background, where you came from. It wasn't easy. Your mum had issues that came through to you, and you were the eldest brother of five, and, you know, and things weren't easy growing up, and, no one showed you the way. Um, and then you've gone out and you've made something of yourself. You became this kickboxing champion, and and people looked up to you. So in a way, you've doing this. You've been doing this all your life. Your
I
brothers looked up to you.
I totally agree with that. And the only thing that that's why I was very interested when you were talking about like living in the moment because
Yeah,
the biggest problem I feel like I'm doing that again with trading because I was telling you like I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I
yeah,
want to be. The problem is I'm looking down the road instead of just
yeah,
being happy with now. And like that's the only thing that I regret about my life so far is that I'm always so focused on the future that I forget to just chill the hell out and just enjoy the moment. Like I have had a an amazing life and
yeah,
I've done a lot of really cool shit. But the problem is when I was doing all that really cool shit, I was so focused on like the kickboxing thing. Like the reason I want to keep kickboxing is because like I'm scared that because I gave up right before I reached my end goal, like, am I going to do that in trading? Am I going to do that with whatever's after trading? Am I going to do that with whatever's after that? Like, did I did I did I fail because I didn't? I wanted to be the world champion. I wanted to be the best American fighter to ever do it, and I believed 110%. I still believe that if I did do it, that I would be that. I really do think that I would blow everybody else out of the water. I think that I could really do that, but it's like, damn, like, I know what goes into doing that at a high level. It's like the rest of my life is just there is no other life. Like it's just fighting, and I feel like I'm at a different point where I'm like, well, I'm not old by any means, but like I would like to have a family, and I
Mm.
would like to start, I gotta travel around, I gotta see really cool places. But like when I was there, I was on business.
Yeah,
I had to fight somebody. And I wasn't really there. When I was in Amsterdam that one time, well the time that I fought, I mean I had a good time, but nowhere near what I did the other times. When I went over there and I would stay over there for a month and a half, 2 months. I'd train. Man, I had a blast over there. It was so
yeah.
much fun. When I went to Italy, like I've been looking forward to going to Italy my entire life. I went to Italy, and the only cool thing I did was I went swimming in the Mediterranean, and because like the only reason I did that is because like my coach was being such an asshole, just making me train so damn hard the whole time. Like everybody else is going to Pisa to go check it out, and he wouldn't let me go, and I was just like, all right, well, fuck off. I want to go swim then. Like, since I'm stuck here, I'm going to go do something cool. And so I went, jumped in the Mediterranean, and I went out there swimming. And I remember, like, laying on my back looking up at the sky, and I was just like, man, like, yeah, I didn't get to go to Pisa, but it's like, dude, I'm in Italy. I did good enough in fighting that I'm in Italy, like, representing my country in a tournament. That's cool as shit. Like, I remember that moment. But everything that else around it, it was like I was so focused on the next thing, It's like,
It's interesting when you talk about this, and I just heard you saying a few minutes ago, I could have been like a contender, sort of thing, if we're going to
yeah,
use that language. And I talk about, because I get a lot of people who are great sports people. I've got a lot of ex-footballers, golfers, boxers, um, tennis players, handball players, skiers, and musicians as well, and artists. So I get a lot of people who were doing really well in their field, kind of on the edge of going pro, sort of thing.
yeah,
And I had to make a choice, and it was like it's a turning point, and what I'm going to have to give up a lot to do that. And am I ready for that? So it wasn't that they didn't think they could do it, but I remember this tennis player who became an amazing trader said to me, I was on my way up to be one of the best in the UK at the time in my late teens. But then I looked at my coach, and he was like, he'd reached number 3 in the UK at one point. We don't have the best tennis scene, although we did have a top 4 player at that point. Um, and he said, he's 31 now and he's just starting a degree. He said he's past his peak. He did well, but he never quite made it. He's a phenomenal player, but he never quite made it. And he's now 31. He's starting his degree. He's starting his business life. I said, do I want that? Am I ready? He said, I could make it to the top, but I may not. And I knew that commitment, he says, was like just going to be crazy.
yeah,
And I just wasn't quite ready for it. I wanted to enjoy myself a bit. I was 18, you know, and you have to make this choice somewhere. And he then didn't know what to do to his life, went to university, and then, I don't know, it was his sister who'd been in America inspired him to say, these Americans, they love making money. We've got to do something like that here. As we don't have the same attitude to money here in the UK. But
well,
over there, she said, like, everyone makes money in America or tries to make money. And
One of my friends, she said something to me that like really stuck with me. She said that Americans live to work, and everywhere else they work to live.
yeah,
And like when she said that to me, like I didn't really understand it at the very beginning, but I was just like when that really soaked in, it's like fuck that. I want to live life. Like I want to enjoy the important things. I want to have family time. It's like, you know, I don't want to just, like I said, just survive.
yeah,
I want to thrive, you know? And
yeah. That's what training's like. See, I think that's why so many sports people get attracted to it because it's. I mean, it's a crazy job. I mean, it screws people up, but on
yeah,
the other on the other hand, it makes you feel alive.
it
You know,
does.
when I had periods in my life as a trader where I was so low and so down, right, and so alone, right. But there were times where I'm like, this is just so great, and I'm getting paid for it, you know. And there's
Yeah,
nothing else, you know. Like, yeah, oh shit, Friday's come along. Why does Friday have to come along? Everyone else wants Friday's come on. Let's go out and enjoy the weekend. I'm like, oh
yeah.
no, I can't work again till Monday. Damn, you know. And
That's
it's
the weirdest thing when I started trading. Like, I used to be that guy that would like, oh hell yeah, Friday night's here, let's go out and party. Saturday night, and it's like, man, I want Monday to come back so I can trade again. It's like,
yeah,
but that's why I was like, man, I'm either crazy or I'm extremely passionate about this,
you're
and
driven. You're,
I
and
like
that's. Do you know what? I think it's something about. You know, I honestly believe that sports people and artists do much better at trading than most people because they are driven and they are performers. And they also know that the world is not going to give it on a plate.
no,
You've got
the
to go
worst
out and get it.
they're going to take it away from you if they can.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think they do much better than academics. Academics really struggle with trading because they think everything's got an answer. There's a calculation, you could just work it out. Whereas performers, sports people, they know that, you know, I always think of tennis players, they can have the easiest shot set up in the world and put it into the net, even at the world champion level, you know, at the Roger Federer level. And that's what sports people know. That, you know, it's like they are made to trade. They're driven. They know you've got to go get it. They're competitive.
Well, I think that's what like really shocked my boss and like why like our conversation got so bad because like part of me thinks that he was gonna like say all that stuff and like he thought that I would be like, all right, well, I'll just stop trading. Or like or he was just trying to provoke me into doing something stupid. I don't know. But like I feel like part of him thought that I would actually say, all right, well I'll stop trading or whatever. But it's like I'm not. Like I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do to make ends meet, but like I don't know, I gotta keep going after this. Like it makes me like we were just saying, it makes me feel alive. Like why would I just give up on that to have even if I do make good money at this job? It's like so what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna I want to survive until I'm old and I just die and miserable. Like no, like I'm not gonna do that. I need to
Yeah.
figure out ways
But
to
my first ever trading client, he was a guy now in his sort of, at the time he was in his late 60s, early 70s. He'd been doing it nearly 50 years. And he was struggling. That's kind of what trading's like. You know, as we go through life changes and as the markets change, you know, you can be successful and then you can hit a bad patch and you can't get out of it. So he was really struggling at this point. He said, look, Steve, he said, I, I'm going to ask them to put a trading terminal in my coffin when I go. Yes, because I'm literally going to carry on trading when I go up there. I said, I love this. You know, they're going to put one. I don't care. I'm going to be doing it right to the very last minute. You know,
yeah.
and that's what it does. It gives, you know, it's a constant game.
It is a game, and like it's, I don't know, it's just I love it. Like I wouldn't give it up for at least like right now in my life, I wouldn't give it up for anything. and
yeah.
it's just
But you,
like just trying to figure out how to piece it all together. I actually had a few questions, like with when I was listening to I when I was listening to the podcast, it kind of made me make me think of a few different things. Like since you started trading, like how many times have you kind of seen like the markets just completely change? Like I'm such a new trader that like
so many
is it just
times.
is it just like constant change, or like does it normally stay like the same for like normal periods of time, or is it like it
No, it's constant change. I mean, it changes more now than ever because
yeah,
technology is so new.
we've
But
been
we're,
noticing that like
you know,
yeah.
it's just that you know, like we never had something that didn't exist a year ago, and suddenly it's the biggest thing in the world, Dogecoin, or do you know what I mean? And that none of us can explain what it is. You know, those
Or
weren't.
like what they did with GameStop and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, but all those things have happened before, and they happen again, but they happen a lot quicker because of technology and the internet, and you know, it's almost like they invent something to trade every other week that they didn't have before. But it's always been like that. I mean, my first week of trading, the US stock market dropped 50% on one day. I mean,
Holy shit.
yeah, it was October 1987, and no one had ever seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
You know,
that would be some scary stuff for
yeah,
sure.
we were all trading penny stocks at that time. I wasn't a stock trader, but everyone was. It was like very fashionable. It's a bit like now. Everything was really fashionable. Everything was. We'd get newsletters sent. We had to get them through a fax machine in those days, sent to us, and it would be this buy this stock, and it's 5p, you know, obviously 5 cents in the US.
Yeah.
And then the next day it was 10 cents and then 20 cents, and like, buy more, this is easy. And everyone's buying. And that was in the mid 80s. And then October 87, in one day, and people got cleaned out and to sell their
That's
cars.
that's how I got started in trading. I got on the Robinhood app and we'd buy those like stocks that were like 20 cents or whatever, and they go to 40 cents, and I'd be like, "Holy crap, I'm filthy rich!"
Yeah.
Oh. And then I remember I got greedy one time, and like I sold mine, and my brother held his. His kept going up, and I chased it, and I bought at the very tippy top, and then it plummeted. I was like, "No, no, no, no!" I was like, "All right, well, there's obviously more to this game than I know, and so I want to put time into learning all this stuff." So, but
But there's, yeah, I mean, the change is incredible these days. And obviously we got, you know, probably a unique situation with the pandemic and all the money that's being printed and,
yeah,
you know, which is inflating things. But it change. It's really weird. On the one hand, it always changes. On the other hand, it's exactly the same as it ever was. All these things that we're seeing have been seen before, and there's nothing new. Going back hundreds of years.
when you were on one of the podcasts I was listening to, you were talking about personality types, and
Yeah,
like someone was trading the wrong, like they were trading something instead of like what they need to be trading was like options because their
yeah.
personality is better at like it. For my personality is like me trading like these short term intraday stuff. Is that what's the best for my personality, or like or what does somebody
Well,
under my personality normally
well, I'd like to understand more about you, what you do as a trader, because we haven't got into that yet.
uh
But if I could say about your personality from what I've seen, we normally do see them do really well at short-term trading. That's where they tend to get really good at. And they also do really well listening to their gut.
yeah.
You know, they're very intuitive. In fact, you know, you are one of the more extreme forms of that. You know, if I go to your risk type compass, um, I was looking at it before when you said about your inability to handle too much at once.
Is that
Um,
normal too, I'm assuming?
yeah, yeah. Although you're not extreme at it by any stretch.
Like
Um,
I can multitask, but like if there's multiple things that take like a lot of attention, I can't do
yeah, yeah. There's a certain group of people that are really good handling a lot of things, and you're not. in that group. So if I was to show you your wrist type compass, can you see that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. If we were to look at maybe the bottom third or the bottom quarter of this from top to bottom,
Uh-huh.
okay? So this area kind of hit, well, I would say
Right,
it,
I know what you're saying though.
yeah, in a curve from carefree, I think of a curve from carefree round to composed.
Uh-huh.
People down there at the bottom, they're really good at handling a lot of things at once. I call them plate spinners. You ever seen those guys who put
Oh
plates
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
they have like 15 of them going at once?
yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, they're incredible.
I tried to do drumming one time, and that was also a giant failure.
But it doesn't mean you can't do it. But
No,
because if we go further to the top, right, we got the extreme opposite where there's people that only can do one or two things at once,
yeah,
and they're really good as long as they just focus on no more than three things tops, but normally just one,
yeah,
and
okay.
they put all that energy into one. Okay, you're kind of in that bit in between. As you can see, you could do some, but not too much. But
I
I
feel
would
like when it
say,
comes to trading, I think that for me personally, it's like being more like put my brain power into this one thing
yeah,
is the best for me because
keep it simple is probably good for you.
that's why I do really well because it's like you want to know a little bit about my trading. Like my favorite setup, it's like my
Yeah,
golden setup is like the pop and fell at $3 because when I first started trading, that's when I blew my first account. I bought the break at $3 because that's when margin kicks in. Now I take the opposite side of it. I love when a stock's grinding up to $3 in pre-market, has a little bit of dip, and then right when it opens, it shoots above $3, stuffs. I slam the bid right when it breaks under $3, and I write it all the way down. That's my
okay.
happens in like the first minute or two, but like all I do is I focus on the bid. I see $3 hit the bid again. I start seeing that chip. Boom, I'm in, and I that's my absolute favorite setup. But like
Uh,
I've also been where I've been so emotionally just out of it that I've actually messed up that setup. And I did that
Well,
like
I'll show you where you are in here in relation to that. So you're quite over to the extreme form of excitable, as
uh-huh.
you can see. Just to make a comparison, let's look at the deliberate type, which is the opposite. Um, a few years ago, the people that ran this, that built this tool,
Uh-huh.
were asked by the British Air Traffic Control Board to analyse their air traffic controllers on here. 80% of them turned up in the deliberate segment, and the rest were on the right-hand side, imprudent or composed. Now that's an air traffic controller, systematic, focused, follows the rules, able to keep a lot of things going at once. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and they would just stick to their process. Very systematic. Let's consider the type like you, almost the opposite to that. Okay, we wouldn't want you sitting in an air traffic control tower trying to land a plane, right?
It's probably a smart idea to not have that
No,
happen.
you go like, I'm just stepping out, I'm going to have a cigarette, or I'm just like, I'm going to be on my
Yeah.
phone, just going to check out something. Yeah, yeah, tell that plane to land, like, hold on.
Yeah.
That would be you, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Did you see this? Look at this. Turn this off. That would be you, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to, but what that comes with is it comes with a real ability to see things that other people don't see, like a creativeness, uh, an energy that when it's there, it's there,
Yeah.
like sudden bursts of energy.
Yeah.
And people go, how did he do that? Where did that come from? I got there's a lady I coached a few years ago. She was even more extreme on the excitable scale. I may have mentioned it to you in the first one. She was an amazing trader.
Made $1
Um,
million trading off of her phone.
yeah, one night when Trump got the president and when Britain got into Brexit, just trading off gut feel.
Yes, that's
And they
crazy.
asked her, the broker said to her, where are you getting these calls from, these signals from? She said, no, I'm just feeling it. I know. She could feel things in her water, so to speak. You know.
Hmm.
Um,
Ever since our first conversation, like I've been trying to listen to my gut a lot more ever since you told me that. Because I will get certain feelings, and like a lot of the times, I've always tried to like bury them and not listen to them. But it's always been like a flip of a coin if it ended good or bad. But now, that's why I felt so off today because I haven't felt like this in a long time, and it's like, why do I feel so? Things just something wasn't right, and it's
yeah,
like, but I wish I wouldn't have traded, but it's like I tried to force it, and then then that disaster at work, and
yeah.
my boss shot me a text while we've been doing this, so I'm gonna wait and see what the heck he said afterwards. So
Okay, but do you know what? It's like, you know, as we say, your personality is, I should imagine it's quite explosive.
yeah,
If challenged, you will push back. You try to hold it off, but it's got to go somewhere.
yeah, well, that's what happened today. It's like
Yeah,
I like I I know it would have been smart to just back down, like but it's like I couldn't. Like when he got in my face, I just as dumb as that is, that's my boss. My
but
boss.
the, the, the reason this is interesting to me is I'm going to show you your other personality psychometric. Okay, I'm going to do a stop share. Okay, and I'm going to share it with you now. Okay, now this is called the Luminous Spark. Now it's a much bigger tool. I'll send you the afterwards. You can look at that. You might have got it already actually, but um, so this.
I've seen that, but like,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, but
I didn't understand it really.
yeah, this I won't go through the whole thing because there's a lot of detail.
Uh huh.
Okay, um, basically it looks at you as three personas. Your underlying persona, okay, which is who you are in your most natural self. The person you were born to be. Okay. Then there's your everyday persona, which is the adapted you that's adjusted to whatever you're doing during your day. And then there's the overextended persona, okay, which is you under pressure, okay. And actually, what I like about your one here, when you can see all three there, is they're quite close to each other. So these can be sometimes really stretched, which often means the person isn't always being true to themselves or bringing the best to themselves to their work. But you are very consistently yourself, whatever. It's almost like you're very honest with yourself.
Yeah, but
And
like that's also been I mean, it always ends up good, but I think that people,
it can be problematic under pressure.
yeah, because I
But this
can't
is,
lie. Like it's like,
but this is where I want to show you, though. Where I want to show you is, see, if we look at, it starts off with four colours, this one. Okay,
uh-huh,
so these colours mean something, but they don't have an actual label. Okay,
uh-huh,
so the commanding archetype, your red, your main
yeah,
colour is red, and then your U, yellow, blue, and then 1% green. Now, these numbers here are percentile scores. They're where you exist in the overall population, right? So your commanding type is kind of your leadership, your competitiveness, your will to win, your desire, your toughness, all those aspects. And you are in the top 2% of the population for that. That's who you are, okay? Your yellow side is more inspiring, more creative, more artistic side. That's your second colour. The other ones don't really matter that much at this stage. Okay.
yeah.
These are your two main colours.
Is
Okay.
that how other people normally score on like things like that high of a red or?
We see it a lot with traders and sports people. I can walk into a trading room of a bank or a hedge fund, and I'll just see a sea of red if I saw all these as colours.
So then, I guess I'm in the right field then.
Red, well, this is what I'm saying.
Potentially.
You're very driven. You're very motivated. You're very competitive, and we see that a lot. Your energy goes. It's probably what would make you a good trader because you're willing to take risk. You're willing to put yourself out there. Once you learn how to do it, it's not as simple as that. But
What's the biggest drawbacks to
well,
the?
I'll show you this, okay, by showing you your overextended self. So we've got these three personas again: the underlying persona, natural you, the everyday persona. This is the one that you turn up, that people see, and you know on a daily basis. And then there's this over one when you're under stress or when you're reacting to unexpected events. And this is the persona that you wouldn't even be that aware of until afterwards when you were thinking, "What a jerk I was." Yeah, that, okay. Um, Now I'm going to show you this particular graph. This is the one I like to show, the 24 qualities. So your four colors then break up into 8 different aspects and then 24 qualities. They're marked by a color or a blend of color. What I look for is a very high score in an overextended state. That's the one that I tend to worry about a little bit. Okay, so if we look here at your competitive view, okay, you're
Uh-huh.
naturally very competitive. That is you. You are a competitor.
Yeah.
Okay. Your everyday score is very high. You're very competitive every day as well. Okay. Now, if you carried on with a score in the high 90s in an overextended state, I'd be a little bit worried. But you don't. You moderate enough for it to only be a borderline concern. And the
Okay.
concern for a competitive under pressure is it becomes win at all costs. So that may be you a little bit, but only marginally.
It depends.
Whereas
Yeah. It depends for
when
sure.
I see this in trading, the way it manifests itself is that people will win, be so determined to win that they actually mess themselves up. Sometimes you've got to let go and step back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I worked with this guy a few years ago. He was an Olympic rower for the Australians. He never quite made it to their first four, but he was in the reserve group. And he said that, we'd be going so hard, the four of us. And then our coach used to try and get us to slow down in the later stages of the race. Okay. And he never thought about it till we were doing this training coaching session where I was doing it with him to what his coach was trying to do. But he was trying to get them to go 90%. Going at first it'd be 100% guys, 100% effort. Then in the later stages, 90%, 85, 80, 75. And he said what he was trying to do is he's realised is he was trying to get them to slow down their effort so they could stay coordinated as a four. Because if they were going at 100% into the final stages of the race, all their coordination goes out the window
Yeah.
and they'd go back. And he said, when we did that, we started going forward in the race. It was paradoxical. As we started slowing down our effort, we'd start going forward compared to the other boats. So that
Uh,
was so that's why being too competitive under pressure backfires like that. You become uncoordinated. You win at all costs. And the cost is often your coordination or your process. In trading, it's often process. So maybe today you were so competitive to win when actually you shouldn't have been doing it, maybe because you didn't feel right, or you went off process, you forgot your rules.
I definitely went off process,
Okay,
for
but
sure.
you're borderline here. You're not so extreme. Okay, okay. Where you are extreme, and this is what would probably be my most concern, is under pressure. Your logical score is in the top 1 percentile. And do you know what logical becomes?
No.
Argumentative.
I I can definitely I can definitely be that for sure.
And obviously I'm talking about in trading, right?
Yeah,
When you're against the market is just a thing, it's an object, it's not your enemy, it's not your opponent,
yeah.
okay? Your opponent is you. That's why trading is a bit like solitaire, something you do on your own. The only opponent in boxing is you. So when you're
It takes you a
arguing,
long time to figure that out, though.
yeah. So when you're arguing, when you're becoming so logical, you'll become argumentative with yourself. And that's where it happens. That's when you start beating yourself up. That's how that manifests. That's where this is really unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know, this is where I say to people, this is where you've really got to learn to let go. And I often say, funny enough, try it with other people, back down from an argument. Because once you can start to do that, then you can start to do it with yourself in the market. Because you don't even see yourself doing it to you. With somebody else, you can see yourself doing it with them.
In the market, I have been like I was able to look at things a little bit differently. Like instead of me being wrong, and like I would just cut it off because I would be like, all right, well, I just got in a little bit too early. Maybe it needs to pop a little bit higher. And I turned like this negative anchor into a positive anchor, and so I was like, oh
Right.
well, if it goes against me and I cut it off, cool. Then I just get a higher short, and I'll make even more money. And so like I was doing that, but like today I was fighting the market. I totally
Yeah.
fought that stock, and I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
And
But that's what the market does for you. It will kick your ass, you know? And your other scores, which are very high. So again, you're purposeful, okay? Very high score, 96% under pressure, okay? That becomes goal fixated. Do you see what I said about the difference between purpose and goals? Your goal is a target. Your purpose is what's going to take you towards that target. When you start fixating on the goal, you start losing sight of what you're trying to do and the reason for it. And we see that in trading as well. You know, you go, all these things take you off process. Your toughness is another one. See this, let's look at a huge one here. Okay. Do you know what toughness is in an overextended state? Seeks conflict.
oh, that's not good.
Now, in markets, the only person you seek conflict is with yourself. The market is like a
So
mirror; it
I
bounces back
actually
on you.
that actually ties in with one of the questions that I had because it's like sometimes when I feel like I'm too trusting or like I open up too much, like I get nervous, I get scared, and like I start wanting to like push away or like hide away. Like is that like kind of like tied in with the same kind of thing almost? Like I
We'd
know
have
it's
to
not.
we'd have to look at it. There's a few other things because you've got some other scores that are very high. So your collaborative score, you like working with other people,
Yeah.
okay? But you're consensus obsessed under pressure, 97%. That's like trying to get other people to agree with you, trying to get the market to agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, trying to say what do other people think.
That definitely has been like a hard thing for me, especially like like with trading. You know, when all this volume came in, I was so used to shorting like these certain levels, and it would work all the time. And then all of a sudden, crazy volume would come in. I'm like, oh, this isn't supposed to happen. Like it's supposed to die now. And it's like, but I was missing pieces. I was so focused on like, no, I'm right. That like I wouldn't just cut it off. I hadn't learned that yet. That just you have your hard stop, hits your hard stop. Like take a step back. Like, are you reading this right? Is it all the things, time of day, the volume, like everything. And so that I definitely I've definitely had that happen where
So,
I'm
One of the ones that's interesting for me on here as well, and I'm not quite sure how to interpret it, I'd probably need to speak to somebody about it, is on empathy, you're actually naturally very low in empathy. Sort of uh,
Yeah,
what you think in terms of other people. You know,
yeah,
this is not really a big score normally. It's not normally a thing I would focus on because, empathy doesn't really matter in trading, right? It
right.
matters if you work in a school or a hospital or if you're a social worker. Okay, it's not a big thing really for a trader to be empathetic. Okay, but then under pressure, you suddenly jump up to a very extreme score. Okay, which is emotionally stretched. So the people who would be normally very empathetic become very emotionally stretched under pressure. My daughter would be a great example. She's someone who gives empathy all the time, and then it drains it out of her, and she doesn't. You know, she takes on other people's issues or problems.
I do that. That's the main reason why I told my boss that I can't be in charge of my brother because when I am, I just it wears me out. It exhausts me, and
Yeah,
that's what I became for a lot of my family. My family called me up and like I became the fixer. Like if they needed something fixed, I was the go-to person because I fixed everything. But it's like then I would just wear myself
yeah.
down.
That's interesting because maybe they go to you because actually you're somebody who doesn't, in the face of it, have is going to look at everything in a very objective way. You're not going to. You could be trusted because of that. You're not
Yeah.
going to cry because they're crying, and you're not going to be angry because they're going to be angry. You're going to be cool, calm, and
I'm
rational.
blunt. That's why they get a hold of me
Yeah,
because like they know that like when they call me like they might not like what I have to say, but I want to be brutally honest.
yeah. You're
And
going to say what you
but
see.
then I feel bad for them. Like
Yeah,
when I start listening to them, at first I'm like what they're saying to me doesn't affect me. But then like the longer I listen to it, the more I'm just like, damn, dude, I feel bad for them or like I could see how I would fix it. Like with my brother, I could see how I could fix his life in like 2 seconds. To me, it was a simple thing to fix it, but like he didn't view life the same way I did, and that's why we would clash all the time because
yeah,
we had different views. And so I told my boss like, hey man, I can't be in this position with my brother because it I'm no good to anybody. Because when I get emotionally just like done, I can't trade. I'm not good at work. I don't like. You don't want to be around me because I get very moody. I get very
yeah,
like hostile. And
mm,
yeah, just like you said, like when you're down, there's no music, there's no laughing, there's no smiling. There's just you want to be pissed, I'm pissed, kind
yeah.
of thing.
So the last one that there's a couple that I really want to see on there. One is just the imaginative score. Okay, you score very high on that, which becomes a bit of a fantasist.
Yeah, I
Okay,
definitely yeah
and when I see that, it's people who kind of they're not present. They're living some. You talk about living in the future before. You've got this future
yeah
vision, and it's good to have a vision. I love imaginative people. Actually, they do really well in trading quite often because they actually got something they can see an idea before others see it. Everyone else is waiting for evidence, and you're like, no, I don't need the evidence. I can see the idea,
yeah.
and that works out really well actually.
But
But it
I
does
do
normally
want to
mean,
be in the moment though, for
but
sure.
if it stays high in an overextended state, then what happens is it can become unrealistic.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like that thing you said, you're lost in the future, whereas you need to be present focused.
Yeah, because I had this goal of when I first started, I was like, all I want to do is make $150 a day.
Yeah,
Simple. And then I made $1,000 in a day. It's like, oh shit! Like if I can make $1,000 a day, like what if I did that every single day? And it was unrealistic. I hit a damn home run on that trade that I made $1,000 on, and I started finding consistency because then I reminded myself what my goal was when I first started, and to just go for these little easy wins, like $150 a day, isn't too hard to make. And as long as I keep my shit together, I follow the rules, it's pretty easy and it's pretty consistent. And I started doing that for like 2 weeks, and it was crazy how much it added back up. I was like, holy,
yeah,
like, all right, well, this is awesome. And I just started being more realistic on things. But like I do that in a lot of areas of my life. I have this. I call it being like a dreamer. It's like I have this idea of like the perfect life, and sometimes that shit is just not realistic.
yeah. Don't take any of this as a criticism, by the way. I'm just trying to
No, no, no.
give a reflection. The last one
Yeah,
is sociability, being sociable. You like being sociable. You
yeah.
like being with people. Again, a very high store, and under pressure, you like it even more. Okay, and that could become can't be alone. So I've been working with a trader recently over here in the UK who's done really well in trading, got up to seven figures after a few years, was doing really well, and then was out every night drinking and doing drugs and what have you. And then his trading fell apart, you know. So it was kind of like he can't be alone. He had to party, he had to be the centre of the crowd, and it was like the self-destruct button started to happen.
So
So
that's why I also kind of like, now that you say that, it makes me think that maybe that's why I was thinking about fighting again. I missed the feeling of being the man, like wherever I went, everybody knew who I was, everyone wanted to talk to me and be around. And it's like, you step away for a year and a half and it's like, well, it's I don't know. Especially like after COVID and stuff, like yeah, that shit got
yeah,
lonely. Like it's just me and my dog. So it's like there's nobody to talk to. And so
I get that. I get that completely. And, especially for people, this guy had real trouble with it during COVID, actually, because,
that's when I started drinking like a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
because
And it's,
I was just miserable.
yeah, you get your energy from people. It's some people need people around them. They get energy from that. They like being in a crowd, you know. So this kind of suggests you're one of those people. There's nothing wrong with it. I always say, if that's you, be like that, but just recognize that there are times where you're going to be extreme. The most one for you is argumentative. And with seek conflict, you're someone who's not going to back down. Now, normally where this happens in the market situation, as I say, trading, is that's where it can go horribly wrong because all the signs are there. You should be backing down, but you're not. You're fighting yourself and you're arguing yourself. I've done it. I've been there. I remember once I was in this position years ago in this trade, and I was so adamant I was right. I look back on it now, but I remember hearing myself saying, "You know what? I'm not wrong. The market's wrong." I mean, when you say that, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't hear yourself saying it. You're lost at that point. And then, afterwards, a couple of months later, I remember hearing myself, "Did I really say that? What a jerk!" I hate people who say that.
Well,
You
I'm
know,
starting to record myself, and I talk to my computer while I'm in trades and stuff. So I'm gonna go back and rewatch the trading from earlier today, and hopefully I don't say something like that. I'm sure it was going through my head.
yeah, well, it'd be interesting to know. But it, we haven't gone on to some of the other models yet. But a big feature of what I do, big part of what I do, is learning to let go. I had a review of a client I worked with at a bank today, who I worked with over the last couple of years, and he just said that letting go thing, it has worked so well. And now he tries to get all the other guys around him to do it. That his words were, you can't control the market. Sometimes you just got to let go. You know, you can't help it. If you're going to have a bad day, you can have a bad day, but you've got to let go quickly and come back the next day. And
Is there like any drills or anything that like can help with like certain things like this, or is it just like experience, just trial and error kind of stuff?
but yeah, I mean, there is, as we'll talk about it. But I mean, the first thing is awareness of it.
Yeah,
I do encourage people to keep a journal if they can.
yeah,
Just recording their behaviours, their actions, and then looking back on them over time when they're in the cold light of day, so they can kind of, I guess, reflect a bit on what they did and see it through a clear head and clear eyes and clear vision. And then, years ago I used to journal quite actively, and then one year I decided it was quiet. I decided to look back, and I realised I didn't look back over my journals very often. Which is, what's the point of doing them if you're not going to use them, right?
I've done that a few times.
Yeah. And I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Jesus, I had no idea. I wonder if that was a one-off. And I start looking through over the weeks and months, and I've noticed myself doing this behaviour all the time. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm just leaving money on the table. This is crazy. And I'm not even aware I'm doing it. I'm blind to it because it's
Yeah,
happening almost unconsciously. And then I'm whitewashing over it because, it's like, how do you deal with the stupid things you do? Well, sometimes it's easy to forget you did them. Otherwise, you're going to think, you can't walk around thinking you're an idiot, right?
yeah,
Okay, you've got to come back in the next day confident that you can win.
yeah,
But then you don't learn from your mistakes when you do that. You just repeat them. And that's what I was doing. So I took some real learnings from that and started to just tighten up. And by then, remember, I've been doing it nearly 20 years at that point. I say this is forever a learning experience, this job. You know, it's these little things, and there are hacks you can do once you get better at it. But you've got to start understanding what are these things you do repeatedly. And then you've got to start creating some behaviors or habits. I call it behavior architecture that can change you slightly. Sometimes it might be a sticker on your screen, something as simple as that.
I got
Sometimes,
four of those.
yeah, that's the problem is you start becoming blind to them eventually.
Yeah, I became blind to them today, so
Yeah. But little routines are good. Have a routine of getting up and walking away from the desk and remembering why you're walking away. When some people have a time of day routine. You probably see every
yeah.
trader's got a
I
routine.
have I have alarms that go off at 10 and at 11 that I have to do like a meditation drill and
Yeah, that's brilliant if you can do that.
uh,
You know,
but
just get yourself back to yourself.
yeah,
You know,
today I just messed up so damn bad that I was out of the game before 10 o'clock, so I was just like, oh well, that
so
wasn't good.
that's another good thing for sports people because sports people are brilliant at these little hacks and mind tricks and
Yeah,
mini meditations.
yeah.
In between rounds, you must have sat there just not even knowing what was going on, just trying to calm your head.
That
You
was
know,
the only thing that like when we started getting towards the end of my career that people started realizing like as long as I was calm, I was a rock star.
yeah,
It was when my emotions would come into play where like I started second guessing myself. That's when things would just start falling apart. And like once something bad happened, then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so like that actually helped it click with something because today I took a really stupid trade at the very open and it was a disaster. What I should have done is from now on make like a rule that like if you have a disastrous thing, you need like forget wait until 10. You do like your self meditation right there and then because like
yeah,
my problem is like once one really bad thing happens, it's like it's that's pretty much the day right there. It's like, well, shit. I need to like reset like instantly or it's done. But yeah, I don't know. It's very It's crazy because it just makes you think differently. Like all these things, like I knew these things about myself, but like I didn't know like the extremes of it, or like connecting with the stock market, or like certain areas of, like, you know, in my personal life and all that kind of stuff, and like, you know, family and friends and bosses, and it's like, oh well, I don't know.
And listen, I'm conscious of the time. Um, does this feel okay at this point to leave it and we'll build upon
Yeah,
this next time?
yeah, that's fine.
I hope this has been useful going through this.
Like it's yeah, this has definitely been useful. And like I was kind of curious, like on the thing where like I was all like is it like a all my normal day thing, my overtime, like I was curious if like it was bad thing that I was like so tight knit, but then you kind of touched base on that already and answered that question. And
Yeah, I say to people, there is no judgment here and there is no good or bad because there's always a context. Um, but I do see some that are flags. I call them flags. And the two biggest flags, or three biggest flags, are seeking conflict when under pressure, going from tough. See, a tough person is resilient. And when shit is a fan, we'd say they have the position to step back and hold their head and do the right thing at the right moment. And when you see conflict, you've kind of lost it a little bit.
yeah.
Okay. And then it's the same with being argumentative. So you go from being a logical person, in other words, you can make a strong argument or figure things out really well. You're somebody who's naturally very logical, right? Then you kind of lose that and you flip over to the other side, which is to become argumentative. You know, when there's always another logical argument.
It's always a balancing act.
Yeah, there's no complete logic with uncertainty. You know, obviously, if it's maths, there's no argument, right?
Yeah,
5 and 5 has to equal 10. There's no way it could be anything else.
yeah.
You know, but markets are maths. They are numbers, but they're not maths. You know, they don't conform to that. You know, relationships aren't maths. You know, the two people could see the same thing and have a different view or different values, or they could be coming from a different angle. You know, I'll argue with my wife about something and we're watching the same program. We're doing the same thing. We understand it differently, you know.
Yeah,
Or maybe I started watching it 5 minutes before her and I know more of the story or the other way around. You know, so
just different perspectives.
yes. So this is why we talk about logical. You know, I got a client and I got to have a word with him. He's kind of lost sense a little bit. I saw him arguing on Twitter the other day with someone, and I'm like, when you start arguing like that, you've kind of lost the plot a little bit. You
Yeah.
know, you've said your point of view. Step back. You don't need to say it again. You know, it's like the rowers. You don't need to give 100%. Get coordinated. Don't worry about winning the argument. You don't have to win the argument. If a guy's got a different opinion, let him have a different opinion. Maybe both of you will win. Maybe you'll win this time and he'll win next time. Who knows? You know, maybe the guy who's long of Bitcoin will win and the guy who's short of it will win because it'll stay short and it'll come down and it'll work back cheaper. You know, you both, there's always room for two different views,
That makes sense.
you know? And the same with when that becomes consensus obsessed. So those are my three biggest flags. You know, doing something because everyone else agrees with it rather than because you think it's the right thing to do. That's in trading as well. It's like, you know, I've seen people, I'm getting long there, long there, long there, long, I'm getting long. And yet the guy didn't have a strong view. So why did he get long? He shouldn't have done it. He's only getting long because everyone else is. That's always the worst reason to do something. The
Well,
best reason is
that's
it.
why I stopped talking to so many people during trading, because I would see people like they'd be like, "Oh, I'm looking to short this or long this," and I wasn't even looking at the stock. I don't know the stats on the stock or how it traded in the past. Nothing. And it's just like those I'd have really bad losses on because they'd be like boredom trades. Somebody pops something
Yeah,
up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, screw it, I'm in too. Like, here we go. It's
yeah,
like, what were my levels? Like, where's my risk? What's my targets? Like, nothing. Just
yeah. It's good to get this information just to know what's going on.
yeah,
But let that guy be sure and make his money because that's his trade, that's his playbook he's playing.
yeah.
You've got to
That
stick
makes
to your
sense.
playbook. But we'll build upon this next time.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay, it was great talking to you. I can see I'm going to enjoy working with you over the months.
We're good. I'm going to enjoy working with you too. So
Okay, okay.
that's always a plus.
And good luck with this situation.
Hey,
I
thank
hope,
you.
I hope it works out okay. We'll put something in for about another 2, 3 weeks. You clearly like to do this 2 p.m. in New York, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if 2 p.m. works for you, then
yeah. I can
best
fit it
thing.
in.
That's the best thing that works for me. So,
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll ask Sarah to contact you in the next couple of days
all right. I
and
will
put that in.
have a good rest of your night, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You take care.
All right. Do I
Take
just
care.
hit stop recording?